Well, ladies and gents, here we are. After a long time, we have our finally second proper trailer, and what a trailer it is for Gran Turismo 7, including our release date, which I'll get out of the way first. According to this trailer, right at the end, March the 4th, 2022 is when Gran Turismo 7 is slated to come out, and as you'll have seen from probably the thumbnail, if not the title as well, I'm going to break down about 35 things in this trailer which are significant, brand new, or just confirming things which we weren't necessarily 100% sure of before, but most of these are brand new things. So, I won't necessarily do a screen grab of every single thing, but I might do a screen grab of some, and we're going to break it down in the same order that these things happen in the trailer itself. So first of all, we have very heavy usage of the Porsche 917 Living Legend, something of a Vision GT looking car. This is not the Porsche Vision GT, for those who are unfamiliar. It is another concept car, but it is featured a lot in this trailer. We have the reconfirmation, of course, of the 917 in its classic form in that Gulf livery, just showing off more of that car, especially alongside the Living Legend. We have confirmation of one of two, or at least two, that I could see, Super GT cars in this trailer. One of the most iconic ones, of course, the 1997 Tom's Supra. That's the 2-litre engine version. One which was already, of course, a premium in the past of the franchise, such as in GT6. We have the confirmation that the recently added in GT Sport GR86 from Toyota will be carried over, which is not a surprise at all. We have more visual confirmation and showing off of the Lamborghini Vision GT, which almost certainly will not be coming to GT Sport at this point. There's not really much point. I, as I believe said on the channel a number of times, think they'll probably hold that one back. We have more visual confirmation of the 1600 horsepower Jaguar Vision GT, the evolution model of the existing Vision GT car. We have, of course, a returning face, one which there was a huge amount of positive chatter about on the Discord server while we were watching this trailer, and that is for the returning Mercedes CLK LM race car. Not CLK GTR, this is of course the misnamed CLK GTR, which was then corrected in the later games to the CLK LM, a fan favourite, often overlooked in favour of the Sauber C9 in the later games, but a really good car in its own right, and it'll be very nice to have that one back. Next up, we have more of a look really at maps and layouts when it comes to the main menu of the game, for example. There's a Coliseum, there's the GT Auto, Career, Home, all that kind of stuff in a similar layout to what we would expect in a Gran Turismo 2, Gran Turismo 4, that kind of layout, which again feeds into the look back that Kaz has said they're taking with this game to tap into some of the nostalgia, and I don't think that's a bad thing by any stretch, especially when you actually provide something meaningful from it, not just member berries. Next up, we have more of an in-depth look at the livery editor, once again carried over, of course, from GT Sport. Hopefully it'll go even more in depth, maybe have some more mirroring options across the car, and just a more complete livery experience, given that the last one was good, but it was also the first time they'd ever really done that. Next up, we have, of course, Trial Mountain, featured more so in this trailer. We'd already seen some of it, but again, being a fan favourite, seeing more of it's never a bad thing. We see some interesting scapes, not necessarily circuits, but maybe references to some of the classic circuits. We see Tahiti featured in Escape's location, and New York, a very similar New York location to what we had in GT4. Next to the Brooklyn Bridge, I believe it is. We have some interesting looks at some of the visual modification in this trailer, the first of which is a rear wing on the GR Supra, which is not present on the regular version, and that comes back, of course, full circle later on, where we see an R32 Skyline getting some modifications, and the Supra itself getting some different mods. I have no doubt that only certain vehicles are going to have that, probably most of the Japanese ones, and again, if you've played GT6, that will be familiar. Certain vehicles could have it and certain ones couldn't. Then we have a Porsche confirmed, the 356. This is the hardtop version in particular, though, from 1956. Next to it, or close alongside, in something of a very expensive used dealership, we have another new car, the Di Tommaso Mangusta from 1969. Of course, we've had the Pantera in Gran Turismo before, and now we have this one. Interesting that they're showing that brand more love. It's always nice to see a new vehicle, especially a classic, which is easy to overlook. We have confirmation, and this could be easy to miss if you watch the trailer at normal speed, that performance points are indeed coming back. I'm certainly happy to see that because the classes, they work on paper, but in practice a lot of cars slip between the cracks. And the performance point system was always, to me at least, a far more accurate gauge of how good a vehicle was, maybe even within classes, but still to make it that much more effective. For example, a 700 horsepower Dodge Challenger is not going to have the same performance as a 700 horsepower Supra. Next up, we have the Aston DB5, also in this trailer as well, next to a vehicle which I believe we, in the Discord server and of course in a video that I made, had, I think, exclusive confirmation of probably over a year ago at this point, that nobody else was talking about, that the Alfa Romeo 8C 2900, a vintage Alfa, would be in this game. This trailer confirms that it's the Lungo touring version from around 1939, so that was pretty cool to be validated on that point. We have, of course, the Willys Jeep. We've had military vehicles in the past of the franchise. This is kind of the first time they've featured America's side of that rather than the German stuff, which is funny. We have the 1971 Skyline returning to the game, of course, an icon. We have a couple of circuits looked at in the trailer as well, kind of blink and you'll miss it, but they are Autopolis. High Speed Ring is coming back as well, also featured in some footage. We have Tsukuba, Fuji, Tokyo Expressway, Mount Panorama, Suzuka, Kyoto Driving Park, Broadbean Raceway, and doubtless more as well. Of course, you see others such as Le Mans, or Le Sart technically, and the Nürburgring, but those are just some featured in that part of the trailer. We have tuning and upgrade shown in much more of an in-depth way. I already talked about some of that on the visual side of things. We see a lot of mechanical stuff as well. Of course, me being me, I'm always happy to see that implemented. After all, this channel really got started with tuning, so that will be kind of ironic and a nice throwback to go back to my roots in that way in some senses, with a whole lot of top speed tunes probably, depending on if Special Stage Route X is in the game. We have a possible confirmation, and this is another one which is easy to miss, but I did notice this the first time I watched it, to be honest. A possible confirmation, it certainly looks this way, that not only will the Mazda RX Vision GT race car, which of course we already had, one of the most recent cars to be added to GT Sport, but from the look of certain cockpit footage and certainly the sound of the vehicle, and obviously the Mazda logo on the steering wheel, a possible road version, or at least the regular concept version, the red RX Vision concept car which Mazda made. It certainly looks that way to me, at least. We also have, alongside that, Tom's Castrol Supra, of course the iconic Pennzoil GTR, which was always my Super GT of choice as a kid, purely because it was bright yellow. And then we have another returning icon, easily on the same level as the Mercedes CLK LM, and that's the Alfa 155. So this means that officially, even if that's the only one of its type in the game, that means that DTM is technically in Gran Turismo 7, because that, of course, is a DTM touring car, and a very, very cool one at that. And, of course, we have a track day hypercar confirmed. We already had the LaFerrari in GT Sport, one of the most significant cars to be added to GT Sport from day one, in fact. Now we have the FXX K. The FXX was already a fantastic car in Gran Turismo 6. You'd often see it slip into road car lobbies, which it really shouldn't have been in, but people would allow it anyway. This one probably won't happen as much, but the FXX-K will be an absolute weapon on the track. And we have confirmation in a blink and you'll miss it moment that the Mark 1 GT40 is coming to the game as well, carrying over from GT Sport also. So all of those in conjunction with that release date of March 4th of next year, 2022, means that this is one hell of a trailer. A ton of new info, a ton of new stuff to check out and to enjoy, and just a visual treat to see. Basically, if I recall correctly, I think 100% new footage. I was very concerned that it was essentially just going to be a reused trailer that we saw, or just recut footage, but that's not the case. So well done to Sony, to Polyphony, whoever actually cut the trailer and edited it as well. Great job. It certainly deserves the hype, and it gives us more to talk about when it comes to GT7, and it's nice if nothing else, and of course it's polyphony, so it could be delayed, but to actually have a date to talk about is nice. But give me your thoughts down below if you think there's something I missed. There are certain things which I didn't talk about as much because we saw them confirmed in the older trailer, but as I said, give me your thoughts down below. Of course, stick around on the channel for more Gran Turismo 7 content, and, to be honest, all of the previous Gran Turismo games as well. And until next time, I'll see you then. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.